In terms of other things that, like, what am I watching this week? I started Trek Tuesday on Tuesday. I'm going ba so Star Trek, Starfleet Academy has just hit, and it looks awful. It looks like modern garbage, and it's like if you look at the poster, it's like, Dawson's Creek in the Star Trek universe, and it's like, have you ever watched this show? And I really kinda wanted to go all the way back to the beginning and start and experience Star Trek from the start and go back to what was the first aired, and this is the stipulation for Trek Tuesday, is that we're starting on where I started with the first officially aired episode is it what people saw. Of course, there was the pilot, and then there was the pilot, the second pilot, and then the edited down second pilot, and the second pilot ended up being episode 3, but we're going with, air date order. Um, so I went all the way back, and it's like, and this is not a knock on the original series, this is a knock on me. When I watched it through years ago, long, long time ago, to make another sci-fi reference, long time, a long time. Um, and I wasn't like I'm a next generation kid. I grew up on Picard. Grew up on the Next Generation. The 1960, the pace, I mean, really, like the TNG pacing was probably about perfect for what we the pace modern pacing is way too fast. TNG was like the right amount. 60s required you be a little bit more patient with it. You had to, you know, you had to, it's just a little slower. And I think when I watched it the first time, I wasn't ready for that, and I judged it on that. And I didn't dislike it, but I was just like, yeah, this is boring. TNG is better. And now that I'm older, it's just like, God damn. And maybe it's because stuff is so damn fast now, but, it's this is great right off the bat, and there's a couple of things that I would say struck me for in the first 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes, you had the man trap, which is they go down to a planet, salt monster disguising itself as people, namely one of Dr. McCoy's ex-flames. And then episode 2 was Charlie X, which is, wayward young man with powers. But there was never it doesn't have a big grandiose, "We're introducing all of the characters," like, "Here is Kirk, and we're making a big deal out of everything." It's literally just like, here's an adventure." And it's so well done that, like, you go into the man trap, and it doesn't I don't think you need to know anything about Star Trek, and you get who these characters are immediately. Um, and what I would say, like, really what hit me again, it's like I grew up on TNG, and I was a Picard guy. So, like, Kirk, and I think Kirk gets sort of joked on a lot because Shatner, like, "We're going to talk like this, and this is how Kirk was, and we're going to use this as a, um, big joke." And that's not really the character. 2 episodes in, I think both Kirk and Picard do 2 very different things. I think Kirk is the buddy that you want, like, great at his job. Kirk is your friend. Picard is more your paternal father figure. They're both separately good. They're good at the command. They're good. They're the actual job of commanding the ship. They're good at. It's just in personality. Kirk is your buddy. Picard is your father. And I do think, and again, this could be nostalgia. I still lean Picard. But also, like, I mean, Kirk takes his job like, again, I think it's a lot of people treat him really with it's very jokey, but he does take his job seriously, and so you've got the man trap, they come back up and they've got a crew member dead, and Dr. McCoy is, it's like he's like, just like he's, talking, it's like, "Oh, oh, so and so, my old flame." And Kirk very much is like lays down like again, we have seen them be friends at this point. They're very, very chummy when shit's not going down. But when shit goes down, Kirk does not have a problem smacking his friends around and saying, "Doctor, get like one of our crew members is dead. Get your head in the game and do your job. We need to find out what's going on like right now." And I don't know that I so much appreciated that the first time around that I watched the show. Um, and again, just like it just intelligently there's modern Star Trek lectures you on how to think. Um, Original Star Trek encouraged you to think. And one thing, both of these two, both Mantrap and Charlie X, both of them, I think they have this very, very interesting thing where the antagonists in either episode are not they're not up straight up evil, snidely whiplash. They're not straight up evil, snidely whiplash villains. Both of them have valid, not aggressively valid. They have reason. There is logical reasons for doing what they're doing, whether it's the salt monster in the man trap where I'm the last of my kind and like I just need to survive and I don't have salt on planet. People show up, like I'm gonna steal their salt, or Charlie and Charlie X, who's and it's an interesting where again going back to the globes where I have not watched Adolescence yet, so I can't comment on it, but um Charlie X is doing a, like, "What do we do with wayward young men?" type thing, but it's doing it in a way that I think is real, and whereas it doesn't villainize like, he's not villainized for being a dude, and a big chunk of that episode is he looks up to Kirk because Kirk is an all-around solid dude who can put his foot down when it's needed. Like when we first meet Charlie, they get in the transporter. Kirk is having a conversation with the other crew. Charlie's trying to interrupt, and Kirk very swiftly says, like, "No, Charlie, like the adults are having. We don't interrupt. The adults are having a conversation, and it's that strong male presence. It does. He is a strong male presence, but I guess like the interesting thing on this watch is that Kirk has all of the elements that you would in looking for a mentor. Kirk has all of the things, and but he doesn't really know how to use them. And by the end of the episode, he loses. Um, to a degree, to he loses to a degree. He saves the ship because again, Charlie has a tantrum, and Kirk figures out how to basically overextend Charlie's powers and sort of like bring him back down. But then the alien race that gave Charlie his powers show up, and they just cart him off. They're like they write him off, cart him off, and just like he's got these powers. He's never gonna be any better, and we're taking him away. And it's kind of a heartbreaking scene. And part of being I think a good man is empathy, and Kirk shows open empathy in that moment at the end where it's just like, is there nothing you can do? And there's this clear melancholy at the end where just alien race gonna just do what it wants, and they do. Um, but the other thing is he's got the materials to be a role model. He doesn't know how to use them. And it's like almost like Charlie is he's it's like it's an annoyance. It's getting in the way of what Kirk considers his job. Um and in its own way, and again, getting to encouraging you to think rather than lecturing you how to think, what you should think. Um yeah, it's like Kirk, even older guys have to learn, like have to learn how to be good mentors. Like Kirk is not at the start he is not perfect. And it's a good it's just in the context of where we're at in 2025. It's like this is still like this was 19 a episode that came out in 1966, and it still has valuable things to say in 2025. And it's like I'm looking forward to revisiting all of these. This was an episode that I used to make fun of, and I kind of don't anymore. And from a practical standpoint, 2 episodes in, we haven't met Scotty yet. Obviously, um, Chekhov, we're you don't get Chekhov until season 2, so it's going to be a while before he comes in. But the only like they knew right off the back that Kirk, Spock, and McCoy were like that is the trio that is the core that is the core of this series. And with each different facets. And really what I mean how I look at life is that if just like as a guy, and this is I maybe it may be more of a guy conversation, but maybe there's a girl equivalent. I think every guy needs to have his like Spock and McCoy are different worldviews to Kirk, and every guy needs to have should have a Spock and McCoy. Like if we're looking at it politically, you should have a best friend who is a liberal. You should have a best friend who's a conservative. You need those two guys who will challenge you and challenge each other. And that's the first episode. The man trap ends with you know your salt monster is gonna like kill Captain Kirk, and it boils down what McCoy is seeing is his ex flame, and he needs Spock to say like to sort of snap him into it's like doctor like do you really think your old girlfriend would be doing this? Like you need to snap out of it. And which he does. So that dynamic was there from the beginning. So they knew those three. They knew Uhura, which that Uhura is like whereas in 2025 we do SJW messaging just transparently and beat you over the head. Star Trek did it like it was a big deal to have a black woman on the bridge of the Enterprise, but they don't it's not made a big deal of in the show. She's just there. She's there. She's professional. Everyone clearly respects her and she's good at her job. And then Nichelle Nichols just rocks the character. So she was, you had her from the beginning. And I would say in the first episode, she really helps sort of establish Spock at the start. 'Cause this is one of the things like you can there's so much you can do with acting that's without words or without explicitly saying what's going on, and Leonard Nimoy absolutely does that, because you've got Uhura razzing him about the away party is beamed up, they've lost a man, and she's razzing him for not having, for not being more just broken up, and you can tell in Leonard Nimoy's performance that it's like, "No, no, yes, he is, but now is not the time, and I am not going to like, we're in the middle of it right now, this is for later." Um, and it's like a couple of seconds, and Nimoy just crushes it. Um, I think Sulu's the only other one we've met, and I'm curious as to how much of that was how much of his the fact that he is part of the main crew is just George Takei's sheer charisma. Because there's a lot of extras in there, but he was particularly good in that first episode, and they just hadn't and it every Star Trek series after has sort of followed suit. It's that core crew, that, core group of friends that's always there for each other, and that's like I one of the things that makes Star Trek work, and, at least where I'm gonna, I think, do 2 a week. Um That's the goal, at least. It's one of the things that makes Star Trek, and it's not no show is what it is from the very beginning, and but, it gets there, and it's fun to go back and watch it develop, and 2 in, I mean, Mantrap and Charlie X, 2 solid episodes. I'm looking forward to the next one is, Where No Man Has Gone Before, and that's the second version of the pilot, which it's been a long time. I vaguely remember it. It's gonna be fun to go back and revisit, and it's nice to be watching a show that doesn't where it's just like each episode is a one-off, like, you're not following Game of Thrones where it has to be week to week. It's just we're going on an adventure for a week. And you just sometimes you just got to go on an adventure for a week, and without it's like we have all have jobs, we're living our lives, and sometimes you just want to get away for an hour at the end of the day, and I think television used to do that in a little bit of a I think television filled that void in a little bit more effectively, back in the day, as they said, but, yeah, 2 episodes in, original Trek is awesome, go watch it.